great thing about youth sports, they give young people an opportunity to participate in something that is going to broaden them as people.
I think it's very amazing that Garza Law Firm has made a commitment to help the youth kids with playing different sports.
Guys like Marcos Garza that put their time into being able to help these kids live out a dream, it's made me who I am today.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Is Richmond Raceway America's longest short track or its shortest super speedway? Either way you look at it, Richmond embodies the characteristics of both and is a rocket-fast challenge to every driver who competes on the three-quarter-mile oval. Racers from Camping World Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the NASCAR Cup Series find that Richmond requires both power and handling. To win here, you gotta have it all. Richmond Raceway started out as a half-mile dirt track on the Richmond Fairgrounds, first hosting races in 1953 under the name Strawberry Hill Speedway. 68 years later and 4 track configurations later, there's now 51,000 plus grandstand seats, 40 luxury suites, and since 1991, the majority of the major events are held under the lights. Tonight, the lights will be on, and it's race number 1 of the Spirit Class Auto Racing Premier Series playoffs. It's coming up next on HBR TV. Race details for tonight. It is the Richmond Ruckus 125 presented by Black Acid Custom Racing Apparel. 125 laps with a stage break at lap 90. 48% fuel and I believe only 2 sets of tires over the wall. Drivers are going to have to work with. Going to welcome into the booth Eric Dotson. Again, I'm Steve Singer. This is HBR TV. It's been a couple of weeks. We had a week off, and it's good to have you back, Eric. How are you doing?
Great to be back, ready to see some of this playoff racing in action.
It's going to be a good one, I'm sure. We watched an AI simulated race earlier on, and things were a little interesting. A lot of cautions at first, but some aggressive AI drivers. Hopefully that's not the case here. As we get into this practice session that is just about wrapped up here from the Speedway, let's go down and take a look who's fastest. Right now it is the 84 of Chris Mefford. Knocked Zach Millett off the top. Millett at the time was a 28.98, only driver to crack the 21-second barrier. Mefford has recently taken over that position. Granted, Chris Mefford in here not as a playoff driver. He's just out chasing trophies. And if you look on the left-hand side of the timing tower, you'll see it in the ticker at the top during the race as well. But driver numbers highlighted in green will indicate playoff-eligible drivers. Again, this is race 1 of the playoffs. That number will come down and shrink as the season continues on and we start to eliminate drivers. But this is round 1, so we got, I think, 15 drivers plus Will Hewitt, I guess is the way it was described to us. You got a pick already there, Eric, or no?
Not quite yet. I'm sure you do then by asking me.
I really don't, but since you think I do, I'm just going to go with Zach Millett. I know Mefford's probably a really big contender. David Bradford's going to be a good contender as well. And oddly enough, Bradford won the practice race early on. So I'm still going to go with Millett, and I'll leave you the rest.
I'm kind of torn here between Bradford and Quick. I know David's told me not to pick him anymore because it don't end up good for him.
It's interesting. I didn't even think about Neil Quick. This is a place that he's really going to excel at, being able to save his equipment, save the tires for later on in the run. If you get a long run, long green flag runs, it's going to be difficult to make passes. It's kind of only one way around here. You're going to have to rough a guy up and get him out of shape to make that pass. So practice is over. Let's take a look at the official results of the session. Fastest was Chris Mefford with Falcon Motorsports, Zach Millett, David Bradford, Keaton Burnett, Will Hewitt. Again, you see a lot of green in here, and that will come down as the races tick by, as we start to eliminate guys. But qualifying underway, drivers already out on the racetrack. Vincent Short, the first one that I see, so we're going to go with him. Vincent Short, also a playoff driver.
I think Vince just won a championship in another league, so he's carrying that momentum into this playoff.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Vince did just wrap up a championship in the Numb Thumbs Racing League, their ARCA series. It was actually a tie by the end of the season. It came down to who had the most wins. Vince had, I think, 2 wins, and the second place finisher had 1 win on the season, so it came down to the tiebreaker. Vincent Short ended up with it.
Yeah, and what better way to build your confidence going into the SCAR playoffs?
Absolutely. First lap for Short, 22.203, currently sits second on the board. Zach Millett, 7th fastest first lap, probably a throwaway, maybe had a problem, we'll see. He's down the backstretch here on lap number 2. Goes P1, 22.04. Neil Quick goes P3 on his first lap at 22.098. New colors for the WR1 F-150.
Breaking down a new scheme for the playoffs.
A couple guys have done just that. It's good to see. Lap 1 for Neil Quick was a 22.098. Lap 2, not quicker. Chris Mefford, meanwhile, he goes P1 and then wrecks it off turn number 2. 1 lap in, a 21.96 for the 46. It's actually the 84. We do have a 46 in David Bradford, so that number's a little askew. We'll get that squared away and everybody straightened out. Brian Rose, his first lap, 22.168. See if he can pick up that lap time on lap number 2. David Bradford goes P3 with a 22.05. Still Chris Mefford, the only driver to hit 21. Rose does not pick up his time. Chris Goins on the track, first lap around 11th fast.
Is that Steve Singer? Every time I see it.
He asked me if he could use the 6 since I wasn't running the ovals anymore, and I said, go for it. Lap 2 for Goins, slower. Seems to be the trend. Mark Truxell on the speedway. He's got a lap in already as well. Mark with a new sponsor on the back of that truck, DNA Restorations LLC. Second lap, a little slowdown for Mark Truxell as well. Just about everybody took the opportunity to get a time in. Cody Harger, however, is still at the back of the field. Did not lock in a time. He sits and waits. We still have a minute and a half left officially in the session. We're going to step aside here, get another quick break out of the way. We'll be back with our starting grid after this.
The great thing about youth sports, they give young people an opportunity to participate in something that is going to broaden them as people.
I think it's very amazing that Garza Law Firm has made a commitment to help the youth kids with playing different sports.
Guys like Marcos Garza that put their time into being able to help these kids live out a dream. It's made me who I am today.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Richmond Raceway. Superior Class Auto Racing Premier Series, the Richmond Ruckus 125, presented by Black Acid Custom Racing Apparel. Your starting grid on the pole position, the 84 of Chris Mefford. To his outside with Holler Boys Racing, it's Zach Millett. Row number 2, the 46 of David Bradford, and the 1 of Drew Blaze. Starting in the 5th position, it's the 2 of Neil Quick, with the 71, Fallon DeFries, starting in the 6th position. Starting 7th goes to Brian Rose, the number 89 Track Bar Media Ford, with Thomas McMullen in the 02 starting to his outside in the 8th spot. Vincent Short, the number 15, he starts 9th, with Rob Hattenback, the number 99, he'll start from the 10th position. Chris Goins from Lone Star Racing in the 6th, he rolls off 11th. Mark Truxell, the number 5, starts 12th. Keaton Burnett, the number 26, another Lone Star Racing entry, starts 13th, with Will Hewitt locking himself in the final race, starting in the 14th position. Eddie Rose starts 15th, with Carson Conway starting from the 16th position. Cook Quick will roll off from the 17th spot. Brandon Mefford, also Falcon Motorsports, will start 18th. And then Mike Fahey